Hello, my name is Bohodar. I am one of the drama students, and I'm doing an interview for Blood Wedding, which is Federico Garcia's play. I'm gonna ask questions about different topics, different themes of the play. And today with me I have Kelci, who is a uh, sound coordinator, is that right?
Yeah.
And Firstly, I would like to begin with a quick synopsis of the play. Um, 1 second. So the play goes. Um, it follows the bride, who is about to have a wedding, but then there is she has lots of pressure from her parents to do the wedding that she doesn't want, and there is Leonardo on the other side um, who she actually loves, and then at the end of the play they escape the place, and uh, and they tragically die because they're being pursued by the whole village. So one of my first questions, Blow Wedding is a theatre piece. Um, what do you think of theatre overall? What's your opinion on theatre? Do you go there often? Does it impact you, or do you? Yeah, is this?
Um, I don't actually get to go to the theatre that often, but I do like the theatre as, especially as a sort of community event, and the fact that it, as an art form, it feels very immediate because it's taking place right in front of you. So I think it can move you in ways that other art forms, um, obviously all art moves you differently, but there's something very particular about the theatre and the fact that you're watching the actors right in front of you. So
Mm.
yeah, I do like the theatre.
Another question then, if you had to choose, uh, like considering the story overall, if you had to choose watching this play in a theater environment or as a movie, which do you think would impact you more? The theater setting or more of like movie where it's like distant or well, yeah.
I think it's an interesting question because it was written as a play, and therefore there will have been sort of ideas on the direction, and every director can take that sort of differently and handled well. That it lends itself to that kind of performance. But also, a lot of plays have been adapted for cinema and end up being very impactful. But in terms of how it was written and the intention behind how it was written, um, I think as a piece of theatre, it would be uh, more impactful in line with how it was initially written.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Um, my third question, it's regarding like responsibility. Basically, like in my opinion, the main problem is that um, the bride is caught in between like the expectations of others and her true feelings. So on the one hand, she can't refuse the wedding, but she also doesn't want to agree on it. So who do you think is like in this case? Who do you think is more responsible for like the overall ending where Leonardo, who the bride loves, dies? Who, do you think the bride is responsible for this consequence, or is like the society that kind of pressured her to do the wedding is more responsible? If that makes sense.
I
Um,
think with things like this, I actually know a little bit about this play and about the
mm,
writer.
oh,
But and knowing his politics, I would say that I think we're probably meant to view the society as responsible.
yeah.
But it's an interesting question when you look at it from a modern perspective because we are obviously living in a world and a culture where we want women to have choice and not feel pressured into marriages that they don't
Mm,
want, um, and not be controlled by society in those
mm,
cases. Um, I guess the only thing is though that there's a way to avoid dying within that society, but overall I think that the play seems to me to be a way of demonstrating the dangers of a society that oppresses people and tries to suppress free choice.
Yeah, I think it's also important to view this play like within the context of that time as well, but also
Yeah.
it can reflect on different modern things, issues as well. My next question, in the play, the violence is like a key theme. So the bridegroom's brother and the father were murdered by Leonardo's parents. Um, and it happened long ago, and there is this kind of like cyclical violence kind of theme in from what I picked up. Uh, so in the context of the play as well, maybe in the overall context of the world, do you think it's possible to break this cycle of violence that kind of happens well in the play, um, or it's like something that you cannot break and it's predetermined or something? Do you think?
I mean, I like to think that we can break cycles of
Yeah,
violence in the world. And within the play, I think that's another thing. It's quite a typical thing in plays, isn't it? Where there will be like one act of violence leads to another and leads to another, and you can see that it all sort of stems from a certain point, but quite often that point will be even before the sort of the plot of the play that we watch has even started. It's sometimes background. So I think in terms of the in honor based settings, which when you've got sort of forced marriage or like that kind of thing, it's very much like an honor based culture. It's very hard to break cycles of violence because you don't want to stand for being dishonoured in a way that is something like that, which is another problem with the society that is being portrayed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I couldn't add anything more to it. Yeah. So I'd like to move to another question. I think it'll be the final one,
Yeah.
considering the time. And if you if you personally were writing the play, um, so if you were would you change the ending? Like, would you make Leonardo and the bride survive, or would you keep it as it is? Like, depending on what you want to convey. Uh, yeah. Would you
I
change
mean,
anything?
there's so many stories from like medieval culture and even like across different cultures and stories of a pair of lovers who can't be together who end up dead. That's such a common trope, and I feel like you could change that narrative. It depends, obviously, what you're trying to show. If you're trying to show that the rules of society are that there are no winners, and I think that's quite a powerful message. And in terms of drama and theatre, I think it's nice to have that be the. It's not nice, but it's that kind of message can be conveyed very powerfully. However, I think there is an argument for having it end in a much nicer way, a less violent way, and also even if they survive, they don't have to be happy together. You can end it in lots of different ways to show different things.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of showing how that society leads to negative outcomes, having them die is the most powerful way to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's all the questions. No, actually, another question.
That's fine.
Lorca, he back in like 1930s, and actually even earlier, he's had his own traveling theater, and this play as well. He was showing like to different people in rural areas, in order to promote what he was promoting in the play, and like obviously since then, the times have changed a lot. So do you think theater can still be powerful for people uh, as it was before, where film wasn't very popular, or theater is more of like weaker force now? And do you think it's
I
like
think, like culturally, I would say cinema and even like even cinema in terms of going into a movie theatre to watch a film, even that's falling out now. And sort of more immediate short videos are more impactful because we are just a lot more overloaded with information.
mm,
I think a lot of the more traditional forms of art and art as a way of conveying political messages, like novels, movies, even, and theatre especially, they're falling out of, their impact is decreasing when compared with, social media videos, but even series on Netflix, just
mm,
anything, people have a shorter attention span in
yeah,
general. So I don't think that would have the same impact now as it had back in the 1930s and before in Spain.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, those were all the questions. Thank you very much for such an in-depth answers to the questions. Um, yeah, that's it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.